friends, the show starts now. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where the takes are hot and FOMO set to disable. Welcome to the weekly roundtable, where friends are made and we all drink that red maple. Break. Juan's got his eyes on the latest somehow. Reading forex that make you go wild. Crypto crazy is a man on a mission like a Tesla. He most def got a vision. Weekly roundtable, we got no cables. Predicting the future using their bagels. Chart is throwing out numbers, no trouble.
Bitcoin has hit another all-time high, which is the good news. There's also been another major hack on a decentralized blockchain in the DeFi ecosystem. That is the bad news. We will discuss that and more today on today's episode of the Roundtable. First of all, I want to show the disclaimer. Nothing on this stream should be considered financial advice, political and or electoral advice. We are not financial or political advisors. The content on this channel is for entertainment and educational purposes only. Please remember that. Let's bring up the panel. Welcome this week to Terry and Juan. How you gentlemen doing?
Terrific. Another great world in Bitcoin. Yay.
Fantastic. Yeah, it has been an exciting week.
Yeah, it's been great. We have a lot to go over, guys. So I guess we will go one topic to the next as quickly as possible. So let me check the comments. Girls Crypto Experience, how you doing? Long time no see, actually. Nice to see you. It's been a little while. Hope you're doing well. Okay, let's get right into it. First off, I want to show some information about the hack. There was a hack today on the Cetus protocol. For those that are not familiar, that is on the Sui blockchain. I guess what had happened is one of the liquidity pools on Cetus, there was an exploit and someone managed to get off with, we're talking hundreds of millions. They were able to free some of it, but it just goes to show that DeFi is still not quite perfected and there are vulnerabilities. And Juan, I know you were talking about just before the stream, but I want to show that information, then we can kind of discuss exactly what we think is going on and what could help prevent this kind of things from happening in the future. So here's the announcement. There we go. From Cetus on Twitter. It says, as of earlier today, we have confirmed that an attacker has stolen approximately 223 million from Cetus protocol. We have took immediate action and to lock our contract, preventing further theft of funds. 162 million of the compromised funds have been successfully paused. I guess they managed to pause it before the attackers were able to withdraw it or convert it, whatever they planned on doing. We are working with the Sui Foundation and other ecosystem members right now on the next step solutions with the goal of recovering the remaining stolen funds. The majority of the impact funds are paused and we are actively pursuing paths to recover the remainder. We have no higher priority and will provide further updates as they become available through this channel. A full incident report will be disclosed later. We are sincerely grateful for your patience. Now that was earlier. And then an update actually came out a little later on right here. Okay, so the Digital and Cetus are aware. This is actually a letter to the alleged hackers or exploiters. They found out who they were, I guess, through their wallet addresses. And they sent them this. They're aware that they exploited the vulnerability in Cetus pricing mechanism earlier today. Working together, we have identified your Ethereum wallets and are actively coordinating with the U.S. federal law enforcement, FinCEN, the police force, our partners at the Department of Defense, major exchanges, and cross-chain bridge operators to trace and freeze the assets and initiate legal action. So it looks like Cetus got on top of this really, really quickly, and they were able to track them down. So with Cetus's full backing, they are authorized to negotiate this resolution. As you are aware, all exploit funds on the Sui network currently held in your wallets have been frozen, which is great. They are able to act really, really fast. To resolve this efficiently, we are offering a white hat settlement. I want to get your opinion, guys, on this in a minute. Do you agree with this kind of offering? That is a good way to settle this kind of a dispute, or do you think they should just go balls out and throw the letter of the law at them? Anyway, if you return the two following sets of funds, which they display here, 20,920 ETH, and then frozen funds on the Sui on these addresses. Now, should it be returned, the Sui asset should be returned later date. Okay, in exchange, you can keep the 2.324 ETH, or sorry, 2,324 ETH, worth approximately 6 million as a bounty. And we will consider this matter closed and will not pursue any further legal, intelligence, or public action. So I want to get your opinion, guys. It looks like the Cetus protocol acted quickly. They managed to find out where these funds were, and they froze their wallets, so they weren't able to cash in. But they're offering a bounty. I get it. Sometimes when you have a hackathon and those types of things, or if someone does hack a protocol with the intention of returning the funds, you sometimes give a reward. But these, they're offering these guys $6 million to return the rest of the funds. Do you feel this is a good move, bad move? Do you think it kind of promotes others to try to hack, or do you think it's a good way to settle this kind of dispute? Terry, I'll start with you.
Well, I'm not sure that's really their decision as far as the prosecution goes, but I understand the ethical dilemma there. I would say that just simply from an operational and a cost perspective, it's just a wise move business-wise.
Mhm.
It would gall me to do that, right? Personally, but pay somebody for ripping you off, but or allow them to keep part of it. But I understand it. I like I say, it's just a business move.
Yeah,
couldn't criticize it.
that's true. Juan, what are your thoughts?
I don't know. Right now, I think it makes me want to quit my day job and learn hacking if I'm going to be rewarded $6 million. And it's funny, but I'm actually, it makes me want to consider be one of those guys who are going to just white hat, and obviously me being of an ethical background, I would announce it to the creators. Hey, if I hack it, this is what I want. And kind of make a bounty for myself. But I just think that it creates this world that, hey, if I get away with it, here's your money back, but I'm going to keep X amount of dollars, right? And the second part of this that's not really alliterated in the text that you read was that they found all of the money. That's not the case yet. They haven't found all of the money.
No, not all. Right.
So the hackers not only get the 6 mil, but they still have a nice chunk of change hidden, right? So
Yeah.
right?
Well, according to the article, they did find and freeze a bunch of it, and then the remainder are in these wallets that they mentioned in the article, telling the hackers to return those funds as well. So, but yeah,
I don't
I'm a
know if
little
they found all of it. I don't think, like I said, I think they would have announced it clearly, right? Every dollar has been found, or every thing has been found, and these are the solutions we have in place for it. And I don't think that's what's announced. And when people don't announce it that way, it's because they know that some of it is still not found, right? It's kind of their way of kind of scooping their own story without generating any false narratives.
Yeah. What I saw on that one was that they were able to freeze 162 out of the 220 million. Right. So most of it's been frozen. There's that other 58 who, who's to know where that is and how much of it they can actually track.
Okay. I'm a little bit indifferent on it. Like I guess one good thing that will come of this is it will make all of the other DeFi protocols in crypto across all the different ecosystems to maybe be a little bit tighter with security, double check all of their platforms and all of their code, make sure that there's no backdoors or no vulnerabilities. So I guess in a way this much like the exchanges did when Bybit had their hack. So I guess that could be a plus. Maybe they look a little bit further into security. But here actually isn't.
But I don't think that even solves the majority of the issues, right? Because there are some situations where someone found a vulnerability and attacked it, right? But there have been also vulnerabilities where someone from the inside gave a key, right? We've heard those, or someone from the inside pointed something out and they took care of it. I'm pretty sure that person took a cut. And I think that, it's something that I was going to bring up anyway, is the ethical dilemma of it all, right? Because we love DeFi, we love what it stands for, but there truly isn't any accountability here, right? Like the guy, I mean, they kind of admitted that there was an error in their smart code and the smart chain contract. That person just cost that, millions of users, millions of dollars. So who's held accountable for that? All right. Who can we write to about that? Like if this was a pill that killed hundreds of people, all of a sudden, right, we know who to point to and get restitution. There's no process here for restitution. It's just like, oh well, we messed up, right? If they weren't able to recover this money, then what? Right? And let's say they only get this percentage, right? Like, which is it's a sizable amount. I'm glad they got something back, but what happens, right? What are the everybody just gonna eat 40% loss or 20% loss or 10% loss, whatever the case may be? Those are the choices that DeFi have to inevitably answer. How can we protect the users who not doing anything, has nothing to do with this hack, and just invented a platform that they claim was safe?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess that's enough for my diatribe here. But that's what the issue is, right? Can we continue to live in a world of DeFi where there's no one we can point the finger to? And I think that at one point or another, we have to stop that.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. And see, most people get away from TradFi banking and into DeFi because they feel they're in better control of their money. That's the big reason. Of course, yields help as well, but also because of the financial freedom. Now, yeah, obviously, after what happened today, it brings to light the fact that how easy it could be that 1 second and you lose a good portion of your funds depending on where it's allocated and where the hack is involved. Whereas in TradFi, if your money's in a bank, most likely it's pretty safe, even though it's losing value on a daily basis. That when you need it, it's there, and that the chances of it being exploited or hacked are very small, unless, of course, the bank itself ends up going insolvent. But that's a story for another day, because that does happen as well. Okay, so let me just go on this update here. Here's an update from Cetus just a couple hours ago. Thank you for the patience. Since taking action indicated in our previous announcement, we have also done the following. They engaged with the broader ecosystem, the SUI team, and related third parties for incident analysis and fund tracing, and flagged the hackers' accounts. They have identified the root cause, and they fixed the related package, and informed ecosystem builders as fast as we could to help them, or with help from them, ecosystem members, to prevent other teams being affected. So they're quickly patching this up. They engaged in professional anti-cybercrime organizations to support our fund tracing and our negotiation regarding the safe return of the funds. So obviously that was that previous letter that we read was part of this negotiation here, or part of this meeting, I should say. And they are speaking with law enforcement and are in the process of arranging further assistance. Let's see what else. They identified the Ethereum wallet controlled by the hacker, negotiated the return of the funds, time-sensitive white hat settlement and exchange. As of now, the hacker has not accepted, or at least it's not written in here. You can review the full offers there. Thank you for continued support. So basically, they acted quickly. They did it smart. They recognized the exploit, fixed it, got a hold of authorities, and right away traced the funds and put that stuff on pause. So at least they acted quickly. There were a couple of rumors early on that the team may have been involved, but I really don't think so. That's always the first person or first thought that people goes through their head when a hack or an exploit happens, that, oh, the team must have been involved, must have been an inside job. But again, I don't think that's the case in this one. Okay, I'm going to share this real quick as well for the viewers. As soon as this news came out, a lot of projects on the SUI ecosystem, on the SUI blockchain, took a hit after this was announced, even if it had nothing to do with Cetus. For example, I believe I have Walrus here somewhere. No, I don't. Let me search it. But Walrus took a hit, and where am I going? I just want to show real quick, because it's kind of important to show just how quickly 1 second you think your funds are safe, and then clearly anything can happen at all on a DEX that you think is perfectly safe. There's the chart for Wall. Not a pretty sight, especially, Walrus is fairly new. It's a very, very promising project, and it took a hit. It is rebounding, but that was kind of a shock when I opened up my portfolio this morning and I saw this. That actually got me wondering what exactly was going on, because a lot of the tokens on SUI were taking a hit, and I didn't understand what was going on. The other one I was looking at, SUI itself, is this SUI? Yeah, SUI itself did take a dip, but it has since. Oh, this chart's not even working. Okay, just bear with me, gentlemen. Oh, that's the wrong one. Okay, and anyway, the other one I was thinking of was Cetus itself, which is the protocol that had the exploit. And as you can see, it was doing quite well. Had a nice little pump. It was on an uptrend, and then, of course, it dumped right down. So it just goes to show that anything can happen at any time. And even though, some of these protocols that you're in, you think they're pretty safe, nothing is, is 100% foolproof and unavailable to, or unaffected by hacks and exploits. It can happen to anyone. That's why we're always telling people to diversify and don't be over leveraged. And by over leveraged, I mean don't have money that you really can't afford to lose in any protocol, in any token, or anything. And always have in the back of your mind that it's possible. Crypto is, for the most part, other than Bitcoin, is a very risky asset class. And at any time, any of these projects could literally go to zero. Just look what happened last bull market. If you were around, we had FTX, which collapsed. We had, what was the other big one, boys? That went to zero. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank. Anyway, it was like the number 5 crypto, and it got exploded and went down to zero. So yeah, it can happen anytime. What are your boys' thoughts on that? Juan, I'll start with you.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I was thinking about this whole process, right? And you said something clearly that makes sense, right? That nothing's ever safe, 100% safe, right? Or can guarantee anything. But you know who else knew this? Cetus themselves. When you look at their own disclaimer, and I quote, this is what they have: your use of the Cetus protocol and or use of the smart contract involves various risks, including without limitation, risks of losses while digital assets are being supplied to the Cetus protocol. B, losses due to fluctuating prices of digital assets, which we all know about. And last one, the most intriguing one, losses due to bugs, errors, network outage, exploits, incidents, or any unforeseen circumstances. So it's like, have fun, use our stuff, but if anything goes wrong, you can't sue us, we can't hold us accountable, we wipe our hands free. To me, these type of disclaimers should not be allowed. It shouldn't. I don't think that's in what I would call fair use practice, right, in the financial world. And I don't think that it should be allowed in the crypto world either. You can't just say, okay, it's on you, and then wipe my hands off, especially if, you claim that this is a great and safe network, and then have not people think that this was an inside job. Right? Now, is it an inside job? I don't think so. I'm with you. But you can't have this happen and not have people think that it could be, when you have a disclaimer yourself saying that we're not going to be responsible for it. Inconveniently, $60 million is still not accounted for. You can find everything else, but 60 million can't find that one. So to me, that's a little fishy. I don't know what do you think, Terry?
So I definitely agree that there should be more responsibility, by some of the purveyors, shall we say, in the space. But I guess that's just part of the deal, From my opinion, you're dealing in crypto. That should all be all of that should be disposable funds. It shouldn't if you lost all, my personal opinion is that like, well, like myself, if I lost all my crypto, it wouldn't change my lifestyle at all. You know, I would be really unhappy about it, but it wouldn't, you know, it wouldn't affect me that much. And so I think it is important to consider those kind of things. You know, I mean, you had that, they exploited the Luna token that caused the FTX crash. I don't know, maybe it was the Celsius network you were thinking of.
Actually, it was Terra Luna I was thinking of. Yeah.
Oh, the Terra Luna. Okay, well, yeah, that to me, that's the same thing. That, I guess it's not exactly the same thing, but it was all kind of wrapped up with the FTX. If it hadn't happened, we'd have probably never found out. Let's put it that way, or
That's
we
right.
might have never found out. Anyway, but the Celsius network, Mashinsky just got 12 years for
Yes.
manipulation of their token, and I'm glad to see it. You know, like I don't care. It's like fraud's not legal or okay just because it's crypto. I mean, I
No.
get there's not specific regulations on it still, but you know, the financial regulations and laws apply.
No, I
You know,
agree. And you know what? I think because there's a lot of bad actors that have been taking advantage of these different crypto platforms. I think you know, I like to give the benefit of the doubt. Like I'm not on the side of Juan's thinking. I don't really think that the team had anything to do with it because they were in their infancy. They're still a fairly new DEX, and they were really starting to grow. Their TBL was growing. There was no need for them to do that. If it was the other way around, let's say we're heading into a bear market, the TBL had been dropping, you know, they're having all kinds of problems. Then maybe I could see something like that, you know, get their little piece of the pie, blame somebody else, and then move into the next bull market. But I don't think that's the case. But my point is, um, it should never happen. And I think by it happening in crypto and people thinking they can get away with it, I think that makes it worse because they know that people that are investing in crypto are a little bit, you know, they're green under their collar. They don't really know exactly what they're going on. It's their first attempt or first dip into the investment world, and then they get an exploiter, get rugged or whatever, and it really leaves a bad sour taste in their mouth. And they're easy victims. We'll put it that way. And I think that's the worst kind of people to be exploiting.
yeah, but you know,
What were you
there's
going
a
to say, Juan?
big difference. There's a big difference between losing your money because you made a bad call or didn't read a white paper, you didn't transfer the funds correctly, and then
Mhm.
someone stealing your money, right?
Mhm.
I
Oh,
think
I
those are
agree.
two distinct differences there.
Yeah.
And so, you know, I agree with Terry for the most part, right? But, you know, obviously being careful with how much you lose and how much you're willing to invest, and I get all that. With that being said, I'm okay with losing money based on, you know, my indecision or bad decisions or whatever the case may be,
Your
not
own
because
decisions.
someone,
Yeah.
right,
Mhm.
versus having losing my money due to someone stealing it from me. And you know, he brings a excellent point where, you know, CEOs got held accountable, like in the Celsius case, right, where you know, for manipulating the price and so on and so forth. Which brings now the question: everybody's in the whole Trump meme coin, right? And he speaks on it, and he offered, right, the ability to have access to him if you're one of the top 5 wallet holders. Doesn't that Isn't that part of price manipulation when you kind of can say and do things to manipulate the price in your favor?
Absolutely. Yeah. But he is probably one of the biggest ones that can move price in crypto. Him, Elon Musk, you know, there's a handful. But I mean, you
Yeah,
look on the
but
flip
here
side.
you're manipulating your own coin,
Yeah.
right? That's a different thing. Elon doesn't own Doge, right? He's
No.
not. I mean, right? Trump
Mhm.
owns this one. So why is that okay then? So why can't he say these things and manipulate his own price? Because, you know, remember, it was in the toilet at one point or another, right? It got rugged and
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. So why
Well,
is it
okay,
okay for
let
him
me
to
ask
do
you a
it?
question. I know his name is on the token, obviously, but does he actually own it? Does he have any direct
Can,
connection with
can
any
we
funds
can't
that are
prove it?
made?
We
What's
can't
that?
prove it because we can't prove it
Right,
because it's DeFi, right?
right.
So the chances that he's not a part of it, in my opinion, are very, very low. Can we tie to it? No. And I think that's one of the sad parts, I think, that's happening right now. I don't know if you saw the news where Democrats are now putting a bill forth together that bans politicians from owning crypto.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't want that to happen because then the chances of legislation moving forward is now highly drops, right? Because if it's not going to benefit them, they're not going to do anything that benefits us either, right? So the chances of now getting true regulation that's helpful for everyone, not just stifling regulation, which we don't want, is now more likely to happen, right? Because if politicians can't get into the money, then what's the point? What do you think?
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to steer away from the politics side of it because we have way too many other things to talk about. Politics usually takes over the entire stream, but we have way too many other things to get into. We could be talking about this for the hour in itself. But as we agree, exploiting and hacking in any kind of financial service or industry is not cool, and the more we have, more steps we take to secure us from that, the better off we all are. Okay, so speaking of exploits, wasn't really an exploit, but it was a breach. I'm sure you gentlemen heard. Coinbase had a little bit of a breach on some of their users' information. 1% was the number given of all the users' information, like their emails and phone numbers and their names and addresses and stuff like that. The people that stole this information, it was an inside job. Clearly, they wanted 20 million to keep their mouth shut, and in return, the Coinbase basically told them, "No, we're not going to pay that, but we are going to offer 20 million as a reward for anyone who can give us any information on the people or the person who took this information," which this data, which I thought was kind of cool. Flip the script around on them. So that was that. I haven't heard about any others recently. I don't know if you guys have. Did you hear about the Coinbase one? And what are your thoughts on that? I'll start with you, Terry.
Yeah, I did. And so they say, no, it's just 1%. Yeah, but they didn't say if it was like what 1% it was. I mean, I'm assuming that they targeted those. Like, I mean, is it the top 1%? And I feel like some of the larger accounts, some of the bigger players, they really have legitimate concerns. They're like, hey, now there's somebody who knows that I moved $1 million worth of crypto through this platform. They have my name and address. That's not good.
No, it's not good at all. I didn't hear anything more about whether or not this information got leaked, but let's hope for those people's sake it didn't. Juan, what about you?
Yeah, I heard about this. There was about 69,000 customers or so who's affected by this hack. I love the fact that they flipped the script on them and made it a kind of a bounty. And honestly, I think maybe that's something that Cetus could have done as well, right? Make it a white hat bounty on the guy who hacked it, right? And did everything. And those are more creative ways of holding people accountable to what's happening in the market. Because remember, a hack doesn't just affect the person at that moment, right? Or affect the price at that moment. It also now calls into question any future vulnerabilities, how they kind of handle any future vulnerabilities, and how they take care of the little guy, right? As an aggregate, a bunch of smaller investors, it can make a whale, right? But at the end of the day, if a whale loses a chunk of money, he keeps on going. We lose a chunk of money, and we're like, God, Jesus. And it hurts. And hopefully we're not investing again, over leveraging, but it still hurts, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of chips away at our future and our trust on what's happening. But I think that how Coinbase handled it is a stroke of genius and flipping the script on them. And I'm hoping that again, that we come into a place where these things people can be held accountable for it. And somewhere, somehow, that the little guys stop being the brunt of taking the punchline to these hacks.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that's just the way it's going to be. They're going to exploit the ones that are least expecting it, or at least have knowledge on it. And just to finish up the thought on the Coinbase breach, I guess the SEC has looked into it and they're actually investigating. I'm not sure exactly what they're investigating. There was no other information, but we will update everyone on that.
It's normal for FCC to step in. When the AT&T and T-Mobile and Verizon's had their own breaches, the FCC does step in to see how it happened. It's just something that was unintentional? Was something that was an oversight? Was there negligence involved? That's normal for the FCC to kind of look into these things, especially with high profile corporations like Coinbase.
Okay, switching gears, let's go over some other news. We have a lot of Solana news. As everyone knows, Solana is one of our favorites. We talked a few months back and a few times actually on our streams about a project called Zeus on the Solana network, and they're also on a few other blockchains as well. What they were going to be doing is to integrate or bridge actual Bitcoin onto the Solana ecosystem, not just wrapped Bitcoin, but actual Bitcoin. And it appears that that has come to fruition. You can now stake actual Bitcoin on different platforms and earn yield on your Bitcoin. It's not wrapped, like I said, so it's physical. It's like actual Bitcoin. It's not an IOU in any way. Camino protocol has launched version 2. They updated a lot of things on their protocol, including staking Bitcoin. They have a new website look. They have new lending protocols. They have leverage options. A lot of good things on there. Also, Solana has partnered with Chainlink, which is huge. As everyone knows, Chainlink is pretty much partnered up with everybody in the crypto space. But it's an oracle. And Solana did have its own oracle, which was Pyth network. I'm not sure exactly what the future for Pyth will hold. I don't know if they're going to continue doing what they're doing with Solana and then kind of Chainlink as well. You know, they're both going to operate on there. I'm not sure how that's going to look going forward, but we will have to wait and see. And then lastly on on Solana, Jupiter, one of the largest exchanges on Solana, they have announced that they are going to start a protocol or an option called Jupiter Lend. There's been a lot of success on Camino and Orca and a few of the other major ones where you can lend your crypto, whether it be Solana or any of the other ones on the Solana network, and then borrow against it and purchase other cryptos and get yield. It's a whole ecosystem. I've been talking about it for quite some time. I love the borrowing and lending aspect of crypto. I mean, it's no secret. It's been happening in TradFi for years, but it seems to be really big. The yields are really good on in crypto, but on Solana specifically. And so Jupiter feels a little bit left out, and I think they want to have a little bit of the pie. The Jupiter price hasn't been doing all that great. Volume's been maintaining steady with their JLP pools and stuff, but they wanted to get into the lending. And so now Jupiter Lend is going to be launching in July, which is great to hear. And then, actually, I wanted to get your opinion, guys. I'm not sure how much either one of you are involved in Solana, the Solana ecosystem. I mean, I know Terry, part of Degens, which is on the Solana blockchain, but I mean, outside of that, are you guys involved in any kind of borrow lending or leverage or anything on these DeFi applications? And if you are, what are your thoughts on this Jupiter Lend? I'll start with you, Terry.
Oh yeah, I'm not really a DeFi guy, but I'm all for it. I think it's great. The more opportunities and the more established platforms, projects that start doing stuff like that, the better.
I totally agree. Yeah, Juan, how about you?
Yes, I think if you people who have followed us for a while has heard me say about the lending protocol and how excited I am about projects like that, like when we talked about Camino and how much it's sorely missing in the space, something that's easily accessible, and having Solana, which is like a well-known token, kind of be supporting behind it. It just makes it more real and more accessible to the masses, right? And I think that's an exciting part. So you'll have a little bit more, obviously more competition with others, right, when you're lending, but it creates a nice kind of free market for lending, and I love it. I think it's a great idea. One thing I think that we did miss on Solana was its tokenized real-world assets. And one of the things they are starting with, it's a 400 million treasury fund using the U.S. Treasury. So to me, this is one of those exciting parts where now, again, you can get in and support the U.S. Treasury, but using the blockchain on Solana, right? So that's what we want to see. More stuff bridging the gap between DeFi and real world assets, which, when we this is an interesting question now, right? What would happen if Solana got hacked? right?
I don't even want to think about it.
Right, but would we, because it's now involved or more involved with real world assets,
Mhm.
how quickly would we hold people accountable versus any other hacks that we had in the past? Like, how quickly would this probably close the gap?
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, you're right. I was going to use the example of FTX and all that, but yeah, that was slightly different, especially with Solana's size now. Yeah, you're right. That would be, uh, I think they would certainly take it more serious. And because if an ecosystem like Solana or a blockchain like Solana could be hacked, then pretty much anything can. And that would raise some pretty big red flags. You're right there. Yeah, and I also wanted to bring up one other point before I forget. You mentioned real world assets, which is, that's amazing, especially for Solana. And speaking of these lending protocols and Jupiter stepping up with, updating their platform, and then of course Camino coming onto a V2, it's kind of shifting that narrative or that focus that Solana is the gambling chain to now a little bit more serious. If their DeFi side can get a little bigger and more people are looking into the DeFi side, and then of course the real world assets, maybe Solana can shake that gambling blockchain mentality, because I know quite a few people. One actually is a friend of the channel who has lost faith in Solana because he feels that Solana is basically just a gambling chain, and I don't agree with that sentiment. I know that is what kind of was the forefront at the beginning of the bull market and the first leg that we had. Meme coins were all the rage, pump fun and all that. But I don't think that's what defines Solana. There's so much more to Solana with the development that's going on in the background, their mobile phone side, and all the other projects and stuff that they have going on the Solana blockchain. I think it's way more than just a gambling site. And I'm not 100% sure, but I'm sure you guys feel the same. Terry, do you agree with that sentiment?
Absolutely. I think there's a lot. I mean, it just got famous because it blew up with the memes, right? Tons and tons of value came in with that. I mean, a lot of market cap came in with that. It definitely swelled the Solana ecosystem. And so it kind of became the front or the face. I mean, it's the circus, right? So that's what a lot of people are going to see. But there's a lot more there.
Yeah, I agree. And Juan, I'm sure you feel the same.
Yeah, don't forget that BNB went through the same thing, right? Everybody went on BNB because it was the project's haven, and a lot of memes and a lot of stuff was on there. And Solana kind of, had a great strategy, but at the same time also shot itself in its foot when it released the phone with the free meme token that was on there. So it kind of made itself known for meme, and obviously it's one of the reasons why somebody bought the phone, and the popularity of that particular meme coin blew up. And so yeah, those are the things that it has. That's the downside to some of the decisions they made, right? But now they're coming around, they're getting more serious, they're bridging the gap with real world assets. So I think
you can't really blame them, though. I mean, think about it from a business standpoint. They did what they needed to do to grow and grow fast. And you know what? You can't really knock them for that. If you're a business and you have door number one, door number two, door number one gets you fortune and fame quickly. You build your business and you get off the ground running. Or door number two, where you take it safely and you do morally correct strategy, so to speak. Obviously, you're going to take door number one, build your empire, build your business so that you're able to expand and get to where you want to be. You can't really fault them for that.
No, I totally agree with that. You take a gamble on your marketing strategy, and in this case, it worked out for you. Like I said, BNB did the same thing. They knew what their tokens were being used for, and what programs or were being set up for. But yet, you look at them today, and they're like over $686 in value. And yeah, they had their ups and downs, but at the end of the day, I think they did it right. And this is why I've been a big proponent for Solana, having an alternate chain that you can compete with the likes of Ethereum I think it's a great thing, and more kudos to them. I'm hoping to see Solana hit that $600 mark.
I would love to see that. Okay, moving on to Bitcoin. Before we get to the Bitcoin chart, I did have some a little bit of news. I'm not sure if anyone is familiar, but today is actually Bitcoin Pizza Day. You're probably wondering what the hell Bitcoin and pizza have in common. If you're not familiar or not aware, 15 years ago today, a gentleman named Lazio I'm going to butcher his name. Henyex. He paid 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 large pizzas. Literally, it was the most well-known transaction back in the day. That 10,000 Bitcoin today is worth $1.1 billion. So those are probably they are the 2 most expensive pizzas ever purchased. And I'm sure those gentlemen don't feel too good about it now, but each cycle when we have that anniversary, they say how much the pizzas are worth, and 1.1 billion obviously is the highest it's ever been worth. And that makes me cry to think about, because 10,000 Bitcoin for 2 pizzas back then, I'm sure they didn't think anything of it, but 1.1 billion today's offer. Okay, so and then lastly, before we get into the charts, or 2 more things actually, Kraken, they have offered tokenized US stocks to users beginning soon worldwide. Anyone can get tokenized US stocks on Kraken. I'll look into more into that. I'm not sure exactly how it works. I don't know if it's through the Kraken app itself or how that works. But we'll let everyone know a little bit more about that next week. And FIFA, everyone knows FIFA, signs a partnership with Avalanche, and Avalanche is going to begin building its own blockchain. So that's pretty much for news. Is there anything you gentlemen want to add before we hit the charts and the data?
I'm hoping that Avalanche takes advantage of this partnership and creates a blockchain that tracks stats, make it, just a different way of introducing the crypto world to billions of FIFA fans, right? Because
sports
let's just be honest, this is global, right? This is a global thing. Yeah, but it'll open avenues to other sports, right? And maybe you can, track your favorite player, and you can have like an NFT for it. Like, this is a great opportunity for them to kind of flex their muscles and show what crypto can really do.
Yeah, I agree. Terry, do you have anything to add?
Yeah, I did. I really like the fact that Kraken is going to offer stocks, right? And having the stocks available on chain, it's going to be interesting because obviously it'll tend to front run stuff, right? One of the big things is you have those moves on Monday morning because the market had time to digest the news that it got on like Friday night or whatever that happened over the weekend, right? Well, so tokenized stuff will be able to trade 24/7. But what I really like about it most probably is I feel that it will help familiarize people, just the public at large, with tokenized assets. And I think that, that it'll just help move the entire ecosystem, the whole NFT thing forward.
Well, one of the things I really like, one of the things I really like about it is, other than my pension through work, I don't really dabble in TradFi and traditional stocks. So this would be a way for me, who's hard into crypto and I understand the crypto side of things, to kind of diversify and dabble into stocks as well. So it interests anyone who's like me, in my type of investment style. Okay, so let's show the Bitcoin chart. Here we go. This is on the weekly. The reason I'm showing this first is just to show the parabola and also the, just the Bitcoin price action since the bear market low, which is that orange circle on the bottom left-hand corner. And we've had our moments of sideways, explosive action, sideways, explosive action, and then again sideways. I'll grab my arrow here. And the other thing I wanted to show is the trend line that we've had since the top of the last bull market. And it has acted as resistance here previously, and then support on this latest correction that we had, and rocket ship takeoff. So let me go to the daily, see a few extra things. Also, I also wanted to mention that I heard today, I totally didn't even clue in, but a bullish cross is coming soon. Right now, the 200, which you can see on the screen, and the 50 are converging. Oh, I don't have the 50 on there, but anyway, they are converging. They're about to cross, bullish cross. Which is also another indicator as to the possibility of this run not being finished, which we all believe anyway. So you can see we had that the dip below. We did find support on that major trend line going back to the last cycle, and then we had support on the parabola, and then we bounced up, found support again on the 200, and then shot up from there. A little bit of consolidation, and then the recent pump that we've just had. This chart looks beautiful. What can you say? You can't say anything bad about it. It's it's the perfect. It shows strength. That's what I'm seeing in the chart. And then I'll get your perspective in a minute here, Terry. But I do want to show the the global M2. For those that are unaware, the global M2 is the global money supply, and that basically kind of tracks the available, like the cash globally. And you overlay it over the Bitcoin chart, and as you can see, the correlation is quite incredible. Right now, well, the way it looks, sideways on the M2, sideways in Bitcoin, sideways in M2, sideways in Bitcoin. M2 shoots up, Bitcoin is shooting up. So the correlation is quite remarkable, actually, if you look at it. And then even going back, let me zoom out a little bit here on the daily, going back all the way to even this consolidation here. The correlation is just something else. It's and if Bitcoin does continue to follow the global money supply, as you can see, it's just been going up and to the right. Gentlemen, I'll get your opinion on this. I'll start with you, Terry.
I think short term, what we're going to see is another push up, and then a little bit of recovery. Just looking at it, from a ranging point of view, it pushed up very, to the top of this range and beyond it. And I think it'll drift up a little bit further and then drop back down.
Do you have any targets for a bounce off?
What I would like to do is I would really like to see it. Honestly, I would like to see it come back to eventually to like 93 or so. But I think for the time being, like I say, a real gentle push up, and a gentle push up that could be. I don't think it quite hits 120 right now. I mean, it could. It's very, very close. It's not very far away. But I think it probably doesn't quite get there, and then drops back to about 101.
Okay.
And then it does some consolidation before. So back below our SR band at like that 105 to 106 area.
Okay. Yeah, I'm before I get to you, Juan, I'm a little indecisive right now. Before this this move that we had here, I thought I was under the impression that we were going to maybe bounce off the previous all-time high, maybe get one more rejection, come back down to this 95, 96 range where we had some consolidation previously, and then shoot up. But it looks like it didn't want to wait. And now that it's in price discovery, I mean, anything can happen. We're at 111,
Sure.
685 right now. Yeah, I mean, when you have this kind of a move, obviously a retrace or some kind of a pullback is inevitable. But it's just a matter of how high it goes. And then depending on how high it goes, that'll determine how far it comes back down on the retrace. But yeah, price discovery, it's a beautiful thing. You never know, right? I mean, depending on where we are in the market with the global money supply and the macro getting a little bit better, this could just shoot straight up to 120 or somewhere in that range before we have a turnaround. But I mean, it's anyone's guess. The indicators all show that it's still healthy. The RSI, which, I don't have the RSI up. On the week, it's still a little on the high side, but yeah, I don't know. It's a tough one. Juan, what are you seeing?
Well, I continue to look at the chart, and I used the parabola for a while. I've been very enamored by it and how well it's been at predicting the market for a little bit. And I just don't see it dipping below 95 anytime soon. I think that the story has to be told still. Like, while this is nice, right? You see a little consolidation, a move up, consolidation, move up. It hasn't hit that psych level, right? When you think about all-time highs, and we discussed this earlier in our own private chats, that while 111 is beautiful, it's only a few thousand over its previous all-time high, right? So I don't think that Bitcoin has hit that level of let me tell my story and then take a dip. And until we get that, I don't know if we're going to continue to consolidate a little bit more and then take another step up. But that's what I'm feeling when I'm looking at what you posted with the global money supply, parabola pointing towards a continued upward movement. So the higher this price moves, the more happy I'm hoping that we create a solid 100K supply line, right? Support line, and that we don't get below that any further. Like, this is going to be the new mark. And it kind of creates this psychological effect of we're here, we're at 100K, we're not looking back. And then it can happen during a bear market. But for now, what you kind of want to look at is you're making that push towards 120, maybe 125, that nice psychological quarter mark, and then start seeing it kind of retrace and consolidate, reform those supplies. Then you're going to see your regular liquidity runs, and I think that's what I'm hoping to see. And I think the likelihood of that happening is, I give it like a good 75% chance of it going in that direction.
Okay. Well, I guess, as we all know, you can read all the indicators and charts all you like, but when it comes down to it, Bitcoin's going to do what it wants to do. Speaking of Bitcoin doing what it wants to do, I'll go to the Bitcoin dominance. We all know that, in order for us to have an alt season, Bitcoin dominance needs to come down. And Bitcoin's just way too strong right now. There's no stopping it. We did have a bit of a pullback today. Actually, let me zoom in so you can see that a little bit better. We did have a bit of a pullback today, still sitting at 64%. But, as you can see with Bitcoin's recent rally, the Bitcoin dominance strength is it's been tearing up. Excuse me. But in order for, a true altcoin season, we really need this to come down. I'm not even sure, what would be a good level for it to come down to for an actual altcoin season. But, we thought we were going to have one back here in December, January. And it didn't play out. I mean, alts did really well, mind you. Some of them did make all-time highs. SUI, XRP is a few that made new all-time highs. But then the Bitcoin dominance just shot up, and it's been going up ever since. So we really need that to fall down. But right now, Bitcoin is king. It's doing what it wants to do. So that's not going to happen anytime soon. They will follow Bitcoin altcoins, but just not to the level of an altcoin season where you see 20, 30% in a single day. USDT dominance, it is falling. That is really nice to see. It's good for the overall market. I really want to see it down here in the 3.7 area before I really get excited. But it has been falling. It broke the upper trend here, and then it's been falling ever since. So I am happy to see that. And then I want to see the others. Not really much going on others dominance, but we are getting a bit of an uptick here the last 2 or 3 days, which is good. But that really needs to get up here before we start getting excited with the others. But I mean, there's strength is being shown on all the charts right now, so we can't really complain. It's a lot better than things were a month ago. Just a month ago, if you think about it, back in early April, Bitcoin was all the way down at 76,000. And, here we are now at 111 and change. So can't complain, really, honestly, if you think about it. And then gold, it was the last thing I wanted to check on. Did you want to talk about gold a little bit? What's going on with gold?
Yeah. Gold to me is still in that price region where the value is not worth that amount. That's why you see these varying peaks and valleys. And it's still holding strong though, above the 3,000 mark. But this type of move again, right, is unheard of in the gold space, especially early in the year. And we continue to just bounce around this 3,100 to $3,300 mark. We're close to, of course, getting back to 34. Then it kind of rejected that premise. Because again, like I said, I don't think that value is there yet. But I just foresee it bouncing around these areas for a while as the market continues to find its way. And I mean the global market, right? Oil prices are seeing similar patterns. We're looking at metals around the world seeing similar patterns, right? Because again, we don't know as these tariff wars continue to figure out where it wants to go, what's going to happen soon, right? Like what are we going to end up on? And this is like the first year of his term, so there's still decisions being made on where we're going to be. Are we going to continue to climb? Are we going to steady out? Are we going to falter? Companies are still complaining on unable to ship their products. And so when you look at gold, gold has been the ultimate kind of sayer of what's going to be happening in the future. And right now, what it's telling you is people are still deciding. And I'm hoping that gold drops low enough, because that means that a lot of that money is going to be pushed into stock markets. People are going to be reinvesting, and then gold will naturally climb back up to its to where it needs to be, where it should be. But right now, I don't think that even at $32.99, I don't think that there's value there. So eyes beware on your charts. Make sure that you're listening to the news, and that we continue to pay attention to what's happening. I would also be remiss if I don't mention Pi. Pi continues to do well. I think there's since I've last checked, I think we were at $86. I mean, sorry, 86 cents, more or less.
Currently, it's at 82.74. Currently,
beautiful, right? And people had its doubts when it was hitting 50 cents that it was going to go down to 25 cents, and here we are at 82 cents, and we actually peaked. So we had some insider trading, right? I mean, some people sold when it hit back to that dollar mark. To me, it just shows its strength and resilience, right? And it's doing well. The fact that it's decoupled from Bitcoin it's for me, it's amazing, and just shows regular trading activity from regular people, right? Of course, you have some investors and you have some trading, and you have some people who maybe have more than they should, but here we are kicking ass in the Pi space, and I'm happy for them, and I hope they continue this resurgence, and I'm hoping they have more and a bigger and better plans in the near future to continue this resurgence.
Yeah, I'm kind of in wait and see mode with Pi, only because migrations, the second round of migrations for those who have Pi still waiting to migrate, they're slowly rolling out, and I think that's going to add a little bit of sell pressure. But once all that is completed and the tokens have been allocated, then the price can really find its strength and find its true value. And I think where it is right now is probably right around it, because I know just over a week ago there was a round of migrations and the price shot up to $1.66. But it has since come back down, but now it's showing strength again. The last 4 or 5 days, it's been a bit of an uptrend. But I think once all those tokens have been migrated and that sell pressure is gone, then we'll really see the price action on Pi show its true value. But in the meantime, there'll be a lot of volatility. But I'm with you. They're rolling out a lot of new like a plan, a roadmap for the future, and there's the future is bright for Pi. Let's just put it that way. It's just going to take a little bit of time, but yeah, you and I are both in the same boat. It's going to be a good.
What people don't realize is that most of us were sellers, right? And the market is still accepting of Pi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people don't realize the power of people just selling and and lots of sell pressure. Yet the price, strengthened. Where I think, well, again, right? I rebought at 50 cents, 56 cents or something like that, because I thought this was the floor, and it kind of showed that during the strength. It's almost doubled in value, and at one point it was almost tripled, right, during that peak. So it just shows that there's room for it to grow. People are still excited about Pi. I don't know why, right? But there's people on the inside that still feel that, hey, Pi has room to grow, and that has plans, and it's in the hands of millions of people, and that's the exciting part, right? So we're hoping that they continue that and take advantage of this.
I think the reason why it is, not a lot of people know about it, but those who do, and who have been along for the ride, you know that it's been around for 6 years, and that's a long time in the crypto space. Yeah, sure, it just launched on mainnet recently, but the concept, the mining on the phone, and all that, and the development and the building in the background has been going on for 6 years. So it's no wonder why it's going to. It did do well at launch and has continued to do well. Okay, let's do a couple of quick data points here, and then I'll get the conclusions, final words from you gentlemen. All right, so here is the CBBI. I give it a refresh. For those that do not know, what is 79? Those that do not know, this takes all of the major cycle top indicators into one chart. And last time we looked at this, we were on a downtrend, as you can see, but we have moved up. So we are at a 79 out of 100. And then each of the indicators, here is their percent, and then it takes an average. So right now we're at a 79 on there. Let's go over to the ETF inflows. I'll give this a reset. It has been a really good couple of weeks for the ETFs. There we go. Yeah, look at all that green. Like, we have had only 3 red days in the last just over 2 weeks, and it's been all green. As you can see, the Bitcoin price has reacted to that. So the ETF inflows have been really, really good. What are these 2 days? We had 2 really, really good days where we had close to $1 billion 2 days in a row. So that's really nice to see. Okay, so that's pretty much it for data points. In conclusion, gentlemen, We did have Bitcoin reach a new all-time high. It is currently in price discovery. Who knows what happens from here? I guess we'll have to wait and see if the inflows on the ETFs continue. Michael Saylor continues to buy, and we get good macro news that could continue to go up. It will eventually have a retrace, always does, count on it. But as to where that goes and when that begins is anyone's guess. And then, of course, the exploits. Make sure you're very, very careful as you can be anyway when you're investing in DeFi. Only invest where you can afford to lose. I know that's a cliche. Everyone says it, but it's true. Anything you invest, think about if it goes to zero the next day, will you be okay? Obviously, it'll be upsetting, but will you be okay financially? If the answer is no, do not invest it. And be safe with your leverage. Don't over leverage on any platform. Okay, sorry, I'll start with you, Terry. What are your thoughts on today's stream and any last words?
Well, great stream as always. Always a fantastic conversation. I guess I'm looking at, I just want to mention Solana real quick. I'm looking at Solana bouncing in a range between 177 and 180 all day today. Part of yesterday and all day today. And I'm looking for that to resolve to the upside once it breaks out of that. But it's a long consolidation in a pretty tight range. So I'm expecting a pretty good pop out of that. And I guess I guess one of the reasons I'm thinking that is I'm still leaning towards that premise of Bitcoin has at least one more good push up here. And I want to see how it behaves on that, right? I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind seeing a little, a push up here and a better pullback, like I said, down to that like 101 level, and then we get up to the 120, 130. Then I feel it'd be more sustainable. I feel if we push up to 120, 130 now, almost surely going to get a pullback from there.
Mm-hmm. Agreed. Thanks for that, Terry. Juan.
2025 looks like the talk is all about real world assets right now. And I think that before anyone gets left behind, and again, we don't personally support any products here on the channel, I would definitely recommend you guys find a product that you would love to have as a real world asset in tokenized form, and maybe start seeing who's offering that for you, and start maybe taking a chunk of your portfolio and putting into that and see how it does. I think this is where a lot of blockchains are looking into how they can affect the real world. These deals with FIFA, for example, it's awesome. So eventually that's going to have a real world effect. So these are the times that you want to pay attention to. Let me get in on it and do what I need to do. And additionally for Pi, I would say that nothing tells a better story of people who were able to become wealthy off of a free token. All right. Everybody always mentions how they weren't able to get in because the price was so expensive. I don't know what time. This was totally free. And this is the story maybe they want to tell. I'm not sure. But I'd rather take the risk of being part of a good story at this level than trying to get in when it's like $100 and say shoulda, woulda, coulda. So those are my two kind of stories for today, my conclusions. And again, we don't recommend anything on this channel, not financial advice, but as always, do your own research.
Thanks, Juan. And to piggyback on that RWA thing, the other thing someone can do if they're doing their research is find out what institutions or what elites or big players in the financial world, what they are looking at, what they are buying, what they are investing in, because that'd be a good way to, maybe judge whether or not an RWA could possibly be successful. That's just one of the many things you can do when you do your research is who else is looking at those different tokens. Thanks, gentlemen. As usual, great stream. Don't forget also for you listening, please like the video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And we really appreciate your support. And we will see everyone hopefully on the Monday weekend update. Terry and Juan, as usual, thanks very much. And hope you guys have a great week. And let's see where Bitcoin ends up this time next week. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, everybody.
A pleasure. Have a great week.